ABC General Hospital spoilers for the week of March 9 to 13 reveal that tension is quietly building between Jason and Carly, and the situation now feels far more volatile than either of them may want to admit. For years, Jason has stood beside Carly through countless crises, protecting her from enemies and from the consequences of her own impulsive decisions. Their bond has always been built on trust and loyalty, but recent developments threaten to shake that foundation. Jason is beginning to suspect that Carly may be hiding something serious from him, and if those suspicions turn out to be true, the fallout could be explosive. The possibility that Carly is secretly harboring the fugitive Valentine is more than enough to trigger Jason's anger. Valentine is not just another criminal on the run. He is a dangerous man whose enemies are powerful and relentless. Anyone who helps him could easily become a target, and Jason understands the risks better than most. If Carly has chosen to involve herself in Valentine's escape, she may be placing herself in a situation far more dangerous than she realizes. To Jason, the issue is not simply about secrecy. It is about the reckless danger Carly may be inviting into her life and the lives of those around her. Jason's frustration deepens when he learns that Carly has been snooping around Windermere. That location carries a long history of secrets, power struggles, and hidden threats tied to the Cassadine family. Jason knows that investigating Windermere without careful planning could provoke exactly the kind of trouble that Port Charles residents have learned to fear. Carly may believe she is uncovering important information or protecting someone she cares about, but Jason sees something entirely different. To him, her actions appear reckless and unnecessarily provocative. The fact that she chose to pursue this investigation without involving him only intensifies his sense that something is shifting between them. Jason has always trusted Carly's instincts, but now he is beginning to question whether she is letting her emotions guide decisions that could have serious consequences. The situation becomes even more troubling in Jason's eyes when he hears about Carly's plan to host a dinner with Sidwell. On the surface, it might seem like a harmless social gathering or a strategic meeting, but Jason does not see it that way. Sidwell represents an unpredictable element, and Jason believes that inviting him into Carly's world could open the door to dangerous complications. From Jason's perspective, Carly is placing herself at the center of a game she cannot fully control. The idea that she might be using the dinner as a way to manipulate or test Sidwell only makes Jason more uneasy. He understands how quickly situations involving powerful figures can spiral out of control, and he fears that Carly is walking straight into a trap. All of these concerns are pushing Jason toward a confrontation that may be impossible to avoid. For the first time in a long while, Jason may feel compelled to challenge Carly directly and demand answers she may not be ready to give. The anger building inside him is not simply about betrayal or secrecy. It is fueled by fear that Carly is endangering herself in ways that even he might not be able to fix. Meanwhile, the shifting dynamics around them only complicate matters further. As Sunny grows closer to 88 Turner and begins to realize that one night together was not enough to ignore their connection, the balance of relationships within their circle is quietly changing. Jason knows that the time has come for him to make certain adjustments in how he handles the chaos unfolding around them. Yet those very adjustments may drive a deeper wedge between him and Carly, pushing their once unbreakable alliance toward one of the most difficult moments they have ever faced. At some point soon, the results of Jordan's pregnancy test will finally be revealed, and that moment could send shockwaves through several lives in Port Charles. What initially seems like a simple medical confirmation may quickly evolve into a deeply emotional turning point. If Jordan is indeed pregnant with Curtis's child, the consequences could reach far beyond the two of them. A pregnancy would create a permanent bond between Jordan and Curtis, one that cannot easily be ignored or pushed aside, no matter how complicated their past has been. For Curtis, the possibility of becoming a father again may bring a mixture of hope, responsibility, and uncertainty. Yet for others around him, especially Portia, this development could feel like the beginning of a storm that has been quietly building for a long time. Portia's relationship with Jordan has never been entirely comfortable. Even when both women try to maintain civility, there has always been an undercurrent of tension between them, fueled by history, unresolved emotions, and their complicated connection through Curtis. If Jordan truly is carrying Curtis's baby, the emotional balance between these women could shift dramatically. What once might have been a manageable rivalry could suddenly become something far more personal and volatile. For Portia, the pregnancy might feel like an undeniable reminder that Jordan will always hold a unique place in Curtis's life. That realization could ignite feelings of jealousy, fear, and insecurity that Portia has struggled to suppress for years. The situation would no longer be about the past, it would be about the future. And the future could suddenly include a child who ties Jordan and Curtis together forever. Meanwhile, Trina may find herself trying to navigate the emotional turbulence surrounding her family. Rather than fueling the conflict, Trina appears determined to take a more mature and compassionate approach. She may attempt to build a stronger bond with Isaiah, recognizing that her mother deserves happiness and stability in her own life. Trina's willingness to support Portia's relationship and show acceptance toward the people in her mother's world reflects how much she has grown emotionally. By reaching out to Isaiah and demonstrating openness, Trina may hope to create a sense of unity instead of division. However, even her efforts may not be enough to calm the rising tension if Jordan's pregnancy becomes reality. As the truth about the test results approaches, the atmosphere between Portia and Jordan grows increasingly fragile. Every interaction between them carries the potential to ignite another argument, another accusation, or another painful reminder of their shared history. What makes the situation even more dangerous is the emotional pressure both women are experiencing. Jordan may be trying to process the possibility of motherhood while also defending her dignity and independence. Portia, on the other hand, may feel as though the stability of her life is being threatened by forces she cannot control. The more these emotions build, the more likely it becomes that their long-standing tension will erupt into something explosive. In the end, the pregnancy test could trigger a chain reaction of unpredictable consequences. If Jordan is expecting Curtis's child, the dynamics of several relationships in Port Charles may change overnight. Old wounds could reopen, alliances could shift, and new conflicts could emerge in ways no one anticipated. The fragile balance that once existed between Jordan, Portia, and Curtis may be pushed to its breaking point, creating the possibility of one of the most dramatic and emotional confrontations the town has seen in a long time. The tragedy surrounding Delilah is beginning to cast a long and unsettling shadow over Port Charles, and at the center of it all is the fragile newborn she may leave behind. As doctors struggle to save Delilah following an emergency C-section, the grim possibility that she might not survive has already begun to weigh heavily on those who encountered her during her final moments. Chase and Brooklyn find themselves unexpectedly drawn to the baby, a connection that feels both emotional and mysterious. What began as an act of compassion when they helped Delilah during her medical crisis has now evolved into something deeper. Looking at the child, they cannot ignore the powerful feeling that this innocent life has suddenly been thrust into the middle of a story filled with unanswered questions and hidden danger. The possibility that the baby may grow up without ever knowing the truth about their mother only intensifies their concern. If Delilah does not survive the surgery, the mystery surrounding her life could grow even darker. Very little is known about who she truly was before arriving in Port Charles. She appeared suddenly, carrying secrets that she either could not or would not explain. No one seems to know where she came from or why she chose this particular town as her destination. Even more troubling is the complete absence of information about the child's father. The identity of the baby's biological father may prove to be a crucial piece of a much larger puzzle, one that could connect Delilah to people or organizations far more powerful than anyone initially suspected. Adding to the intrigue is the strange tattoo Delilah carried, a symbol that may hold the key to understanding her past. Tattoos in Port Charles rarely exist without meaning, and this one appears particularly unusual. Some believe it could represent membership in a secret group or connection to a hidden network operating far beyond the town's borders. Others wonder if it might be a personal mark tied to a traumatic event, or a dangerous past Delilah was desperately trying to escape. Without Delilah alive to explain its meaning, investigators and curious residents alike may find themselves piecing together fragments of a story that refuses to reveal itself easily. As these questions spread through the community, the uncertainty surrounding the baby's identity is quickly becoming a source of chaos. Port Charles has always been a town where secrets eventually surface, but this situation feels different. The child represents more than a simple mystery. The baby may carry a connection to someone whose identity could shake the balance of power in town. If the father turns out to be someone influential, dangerous, or deeply connected to Port Charles' past, the consequences could reach far beyond the hospital walls. For Chase and Brooklyn, the emotional pull toward the child continues to grow stronger. They cannot ignore the sense that fate placed them in Delilah's path for a reason. Yet, becoming involved in the baby's future could mean stepping directly into a complicated web of secrets. If the truth about Delilah's life begins to surface, it may reveal that she was struggling with far more than anyone realized, running from threats, protecting someone powerful, or trying to shield her child from a past filled with danger. In the coming days, the truth about who Delilah really was and what she endured may slowly begin to emerge, but each answer may only raise more questions. And as Port Charles waits anxiously for those answers, one thing is already certain. The mystery surrounding Delilah's baby is about to send shockwaves through the entire town, turning a tragic birth into one of the most unsettling stories Port Charles has faced in years. Pressure is closing in on Nina from every direction, and at the center of the storm stands Brennan, whose relentless determination to locate Valentine is beginning to push Nina into a moral and emotional corner she never wanted to face. Brennan is not the kind of man who asks politely when he believes the truth is within reach. His approach is calculated, cold, and increasingly forceful, and Nina understands that every moment Valentine remains hidden only intensifies Brennan's suspicion. In Brennan's eyes, Nina represents the one person who might still have access to the truth, especially through Charlotte. That belief places Nina in an agonizing position. She knows that pressing Charlotte again could shatter what little trust still exists between them, yet refusing Brennan's demands could draw even darker consequences. Every conversation with Brennan feels like walking through a tightening trap, where each word she speaks could either protect Valentine or expose him. The real tragedy lies in the fact that Charlotte herself is becoming a silent casualty of this growing conflict. Already overwhelmed by the tension surrounding Valentine's disappearance, Charlotte has begun to view Port Charles not as a home, but as a place filled with suspicion, judgment, and endless pressure. Each time someone questions her about Valentine's whereabouts, it feels less like concern and more like an interrogation. The town that once offered her stability now seems full of people trying to pull secrets out of her, forcing her to relive the fear of losing her father again and again. Nina can see the change in Charlotte's eyes, the exhaustion, the anger, the growing sense that she no longer belongs in a place where everyone seems determined to hunt Valentine down. Brennan's insistence that Nina question Charlotte again threatens to push the situation past its breaking point. Nina knows that Charlotte is fiercely loyal to Valentine, and every attempt to pressure her could deepen that loyalty into something even more dangerous, a willingness to run. The more Charlotte feels cornered, the stronger her desire becomes to escape the people she believes are trying to tear her family apart. In Charlotte's mind, leaving Port Charles may begin to feel like the only way to protect what remains of her connection to Valentine. Meanwhile, the shadow of Valentine's possible departure hangs over everything like an approaching storm. His disappearance has already created a vacuum filled with rumors, fear, and speculation. Some believe he is planning a calculated escape, while others fear that powerful enemies are closing in on him faster than anyone realizes. For Charlotte, the possibility that Valentine may have to vanish permanently is not just heartbreaking, it is terrifying. If Valentine truly disappears, Charlotte may see only one option left: following him into the unknown, rather than staying in a town that she believes betrayed him. This is where Nina's nightmare truly begins. If she continues to cooperate with Brennan, she risks becoming the very person Charlotte blames for destroying her father's last chance at freedom. But if she refuses Brennan's demands, she may find herself facing consequences that spiral far beyond her control. The emotional strain is already beginning to fracture Nina's sense of stability. Each new demand from Brennan feels like another step toward a moment where something irreversible will happen. As the pressure intensifies, the situation surrounding Valentine's fate is no longer just a search for a fugitive. It is transforming into a psychological battle that is leaving scars on everyone involved. Charlotte's growing resentment toward Port Charles, Brennan's relentless pursuit of answers, and Nina's desperate attempt to protect both sides are creating the perfect conditions for a devastating turning point. And if Charlotte ultimately decides to run after Valentine, Port Charles may soon realize that the true cost of this pursuit was not simply Valentine's disappearance, but the creation of a new and haunting obsession that could reshape the lives of everyone connected to him.